Hello, everybody. Um, it's Genesis 8:22 of the book Secrets of Heaven. Throughout all the days of the earth to come, sowing and reaping, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night will not end. Throughout all the days of the earth to come symbolizes all time. Sowing and reaping symbolizes the regenerating person, and so the church. Cold and heat symbolizes the condition of a person who is regenerating, which is cold and
Amen. Hello, my friend.
hello. Nice to see you. Hear you.
Book.
I'm continuing reading the book. Are you ready to read?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see on the screen the book.
I can see.
Sowing and reaping symbolizes the regenerating person, and so the church. Cold and heat symbolizes the condition of a person who is regenerating, which is cold and hot toward the acceptance of faith and charity. Cold symbolizes no faith or charity, but heat symbolizes faith and charity. Summer and winter symbolizes the condition of an already regenerate person in respect to new movements of the will, which alternate the way summer and winter do. Alternate. Day and night symbolizes the condition of this same regenerate person in respect to concepts in the intellect which alternate the way day and night do. They will not end is the fact that this will happen throughout all time. The symbolism of throughout all the days of the earth to come as all time is established by the symbolism of a day as the times. So a day of the earth here is all time, as long as the earth lasts, that is to say, as long as an inhabitant remains on the planet. Sorry, what? Do you want to read too? If someone wants to read, you can read next section in your turn. Inhabitants first come to, and when the church ceases to exist, because when the church is gone, humankind loses contact with heaven, and when that contact ends...
Hello, my brother.
Hello. Yeah.
What's name the book?
It's Secrets of Heaven. You can see this book.
What?
Secrets of Heaven. You can see this book. This is this book.
Okay.
By
What's the language in the book? What's the language?
It's English language. English. Can you see
who's
this
created
book?
the book? Yeah, I can see, but who's created the book?
Writer?
Yeah.
It's Emanuel Swedenborg. He's a writer. And, this book is about spiritual meaning of the book of Genesis of the Bible. It's about inner meaning. And you can read, if you want, you can read next verse. When I will finish, you can read after me, if you can, if you want.
Okay. Right.
Inhabitants first come to an end when the church ceases to exist, because when the church is gone, humankind loses contact with heaven, and when the contact ends, every earth dweller dies out. The church is like a person's heart and lungs, as already mentioned. As long as we have a heart that is sound and lungs too, we are alive. The same is true of the church in relation to the universal human, which is the whole of heaven. That is why the present verse says, throughout all the days of the earth, sowing and reaping, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night will not end. This also indicates that the planet will not last forever, but will have its end as well. Since it says throughout all the days of the earth, that is, as long as the earth exists. People believe, though, that the end of the earth is the same as the last judgment mentioned in the word, where the culmination of the age, the day of divine visitation, and the last judgment are dealt with. They are wrong. A last judgment comes to every church when it goes through the process of devastation, which is the stage at which there is no longer any faith in it. The earliest church had its last judgment when it perished, as it did among its final descendants just before the flood. The Jewish church had its last judgment when the Lord came into the world. A last judgment has yet to come too when the Lord comes into his glory. Not that the earth and the world will then be destroyed, but that the church will. Afterward, however, the Lord always brings a new church back to life. So at the time of the flood, he raised up the ancient church, and at the time of his coming, he raised up the early Christian church among non-Jews. It will be the same when the Lord comes into his glory. This is also what the new heaven and the new earth means. The case resembles that of every regenerate. What is resembles? Resembles.
Resembles. Resembles.
Like remind. The case resembles that of every regenerate person who becomes a part of the church, becomes a church, in fact, after being created anew. The inner self of such people is called a new heaven, and their outer self a new earth. In addition, every individual also has a last judgment at death, because at that time, depending on how we behaved in the body, we receive a verdict of either death or life, an indication that the end of the age, the cataclysm, how to say it?
Cataclysm.
Cataclysm. The cataclysm and the last judgment have no other meaning and therefore do not imply the world's obliteration is clear from the Lord's words in Luke. On that night there will be two on one bed, one will be taken, the other left. Two will be grinding maybe.
Grinding.
Yeah, grinding. Grinding and
Grind.
yeah, grind. It's from grinding together. One will be taken and the other left. Two will be in the field. One will be taken and the other left. The last stage is called the night here because there will be no faith, that is, no charity. It says that some people will be left, which clearly indicates that the world will not be annihilated at that time. The symbolism of the symbolism of sowing and reaping as the regenerating person, and so the church needs no confirmation from the word because it occurs so many times. Not only the field and consequently the sowing of it used as a metaphor and simile for a person, but seed is used in the same way for the Lord's word, and the produce of harvest for the effect it has. Everyone understands this meaning because its appearance in the word has made it common in everyday speech. The general subject here is humankind as a whole and the fact that the time will never come when there are no seeds being planted in us by the Lord, whether we are inside or outside. The
But I want-
church.
Oh,
Sorry, what? What do you say? Planted in us by the Lord, whether we are inside or outside the church. The church, that is, whether we know the Lord's word or not. Without seed planted by the Lord, no one can do a wheat of good. What is wheat?
Wit.
Wheat, like drop. Little bit like wheat. Wheat of good. Even among non-Christians, every charitable kindness is seed from the Lord. The good that non-Christians do is not a result of the true faith, as it can be among people inside the church, but it can become so. No Christians usually live a life of charity in the world, and when those who do so are instructed by angels in the other life, they embrace and welcome the teachings of true faith and the faith that comes of charity much more easily than Christians. More about this later. With the Lord's divine mercy. The specific subject here is the regenerating individual and the fact that the church will never cease to exist in at least one place on earth. That is what throughout all the days of the earth there will be sowing and reaping means. The fact that there will always be sowing and reaping, or that the church will always exist, connects with the message of the last verse, that people could no longer destroy themselves in the way the final generation or of the earliest church had done. Cold and heat symbolizes the condition of a person who is regenerating, which is cold and hot toward the acceptance of faith and charity. Cold symbolizes no faith or charity, but heat symbolizes faith and charity. This can be seen from the symbolism of cold and heat in the word, which uses the terms to describe a person who is regenerating or one who has regenerated, or the church. It can also be seen from the context above and below, which deals with the church. The last verse said that people could no longer destroy themselves in the same way. The present verse says that the church will always exist, first depicting what happens when it comes into existence. That is when a person is reborn as a church, and soon after discussing in the nature of a person who has already become regenerate. So it deals with every phase that people in the church pass through. There is only one really good way to see that when we are regenerating, we go through these phases of cold and heat, or of faith and charity, absent and present. Absent. What is this?
Absent.
It's absent. It's not absent, but absent. It's like luck. Charity, absent and present. That is through experience and through reflection on our experience. Few people regenerate, though, and few, if any, of those who regenerate can or do reflect on the state of their regeneration. So let me say a few words about it. When we are being reborn, we receive life from the Lord. Since up till then we cannot be said to have been alive. A life focused on the world and the body is not really life. Only a life that is heavenly and spiritual is real. We receive real life from the Lord through regeneration, and since before that time we lack any life, we alternate between no life and true life, that is between no faith or charity and some faith and charity. Here cold symbolizes a lack of faith and charity and heat, the presence of some faith and charity. This is the situation. Whenever we are caught up in bodily and worldly concern, sorry, what? We experience a lack of faith and charity or coldness. At such times, our bodily and worldly interests, and so our self-interest, are active. What are you saying? Active. As long as we are wrapped up in them, we are devoid of or distant from belief and neighborly love, so that we do not even think about heavenly and spiritual matters. The reason for the disconnection is that a heavenly focus and a bodily focus can never coexist in us, since the human will is lost beyond recall. What is recall?
Recall.
Recall. Is lost beyond recall. Maybe memory. The human will is lost. Recall. What does it mean? In context. Okay. When our bodily desires and the urges of our will stop agitating. Agitating. Agitating and fall quiet, though the Lord works through our inner self, and we then come into faith and charity, which are called the heat here. When we return to a bodily focus. Pronounce. Focus. When we return to a bodily focus, we go back into the cold, and when the body and everything connected with it fade away almost to the point of vanishing, we regain the warmth. Regain, what is this? Regain.
Regain.
It's like restore, recover, wake up, get back. We regain the warmth and so on in cycles. Fade. What is fade?
Fade.
It's like wither, fade away. Such is the human condition. Heavenly and spiritual values. Heavenly and spiritual values cannot coexist with bodily and worldly values in us, but must alternate with them. There are the things that take place in every regenerating person, lasting just as long as the process of regeneration does. There is no other way for us to be reborn, or in other words, from being dead to come alive. For the reason already given, our will is lost beyond recall. This will is entirely separate from the new will that we receive from the Lord, and that is the Lord's, not ours. All this now indicates what cold and heat symbolize here. Anyone who has been reborn can see from experience that this is how the matter stands. That is to say, when bodily and worldly considerations absorb us, we are absent. We are absent.
Absent.
Yeah, absent. We are absent and distant from internal ones. Not only do we fail to think at all about them, but we also sense a kind of chill inside us. When bodily and worldly demands quiet down, on the other hand, we come under the influence of faith and charity. Such an individual can also see from experience that these two phases alternate. So when bodily and worldly concerns start to overflow and try to dominate, we enter a period of distress and trial. The crisis lasts until we have been reduced to a state in which our outer self obeys our inner self, an obedience that is utterly impossible except when the outer self grows still and almost vanishes. The final inheritors. What is this?
Inheritors.
Like successor. Inheritors. The final inheritors of the earliest church could not be reborn since, as noted, intellectual capacities and volitional capacities formed one mind in them, so they could not detach the ideas in their intellect from the urges of their will, and therefore could not cycle back and forth between heavenly and spiritual pursuits. It's like persecution, maybe, yeah? Pursuits, yeah. Like activity, pursuits on the one hand and bodily and worldly pursuits on the other. Instead, they felt perpetual coldness toward the things of heaven and perpetual warmth for the objects of their desire, so that for them no alternation was possible. Maybe it's long. Maybe someone wants to continue from this, from 934.
I read.
Go ahead. It's nice to hear you and see you here.
Yes, thank you. Okay. 934. The symbolism of cold and no love, that is, no charity or faith, and of heat or fire as love, or charity and faith, is attested by the following passages in the Word. In John, when he addressed the church of Laodicea. Is it Laodicea?
I think so. Laodicea, maybe. Yeah.
Laodicea.
What?
Laodicea, like Laodicea.
Laodicea. Laodicea. Okay.
Laodicea.
Laodicea. I know your deeds, that you are neither cold or hot. If only you were cold or hot. But since you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. Being cold stands for having no charity, and being hot for having a wealth of it in Isaiah. This is what Jehovah has said. I will rest and watch in my established position, like churn of heat on the light, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. This passage is about
What is this sheen?
Shin.
It's about heat. Yeah, sheen of heat. Let's see.
Sheen.
It's like shine, radiance, gloss, glow, like shiny. It's from shiny. See, shine.
Shiny.
It's like sunshine. Solar, bright. A sheen of heat on the light.
Planting a new church. The heat on the light and the heat of harvest stand for love and charity in the same author. Jehovah's fire is on Zion, and his furnace, is it
Furnace.
right? Furnace.
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 Furnace. Furnace. Furnace.
Like
Maybe
burn.
you can see the picture because it's like maybe electric furnace or furnace. To better memorize this word, you can see the picture.
Furnace.
Furnace. Yeah, it's like furnace.
Like an oven, old style something.
Yeah, this is furnace, like very hot thing. Furnace.
Furnace. Thank you. Okay. In Jerusalem. Fire stands for love in respect to the guardian beings that Ezekiel saw. What the living creatures look like. Their appearance was like burning embers of fire, like the appearance of lumps. The fire was moving along among the living creatures, and it had brilliance, and from the fire went out lightning. And in the same author, describing the Lord.
What is embers? Burning embers, like coals, maybe. Yeah. Embers. Burning. It's about anything burning. Yeah. It's like coal.
Embers.
Embers. I see coal. It's about furnace. Yeah, like inside a furnace, we can see burning embers of fire, like this.
Above the expanse that was over the head of the guardian being was a seeming appearance of sapphire stone, like a throne, and on the likeness of a throne was what looked like the appearance of a person on it, high above, and I saw the seeming form of a fiery ember, like the form of fire, within him, all around from the appearance.
I think this word is fiery.
Fiery. Where is it?
Fiery.
Where?
You said fiery. It's fiery. It's about
Fiery.
It's about fire.
Yeah. Where is it?
And
Oh yeah, I see
you
it.
said this. You said
Fiery
this word
ember.
like
Is it?
fiery ember.
Fiery ember. Okay, thank you.
Fiery ember. You said like throne. It's throne. I think throne.
Throne. Throne.
Throne.
Throne. You said like throne.
Yes.
And you said this word like. How did you say this word?
Which one?
Guardian. Do you see guardian? You said like guardian.
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 Guardian. Guardian.
Guardian. D. You said like G.
Oh, guardian.
Yeah. Guardian.
Guardian.
Guardian. Like guard. Guard.
Yeah.
You said like
Guardian.
guardian. Guardian. It's like
Yeah.
guardian.
Sounds like
From the
Guardian.
appearance.
From the appearance of his hips and up, and from the appearance of his hips and down, I saw the seeming appearance of fire, which had a brilliance all around. The fire stands for love in Daniel. The ancient one sat his throne was you can see it. Fiery flames, its wheels a burning fire. A river of fire was pouring forth and going out from before him. Thousands upon thousands were waiting on him, and myriads. Is it myriads?
Yeah, myriads, like a lot.
Myriads.
Multitude. Myriads.
Oh yeah.
Myriads and like darkness too. Myriads. It's like a lot.
Myriads. Okay.
Upon myriads upon myriads. Myriads upon myriads. It's like very, very lot.
Yes. I think so. We're standing before him. The fire stands for the Lord's love in Zechariah. I will be to them, says Jehovah, a wall of fire all around. This is about a new Jerusalem in David. Jehovah makes the spirits his angels, the flaming fire his attendants. The flaming fire stands or something heavenly. Is it heavenly?
Heavenly.
What is it?
Heavenly. And
at the same time spiritual. Okay. Since fire symbolized love, it also came to be used for representing the Lord as is evident from the fire on the altar of burnt offering, which was never to be put out, representing the Lord's mercy. That is why Aaron had to burn incense with fire taken from the altar or burnt offering before he could go in to approach the appeasement. Cover. Furthermore, in order to symbolize the Lord's acceptance of the worship, fire was sent down from heaven and consumed the burnt offerings, instance and elsewhere. For instance and elsewhere. In the word, fire also symbolizes self-love and its craving, with which heavenly love cannot harmonize. That is why two of Aaron's sons were devoured by fire for using foreign fire in their sacrificial burning.
Devoured. You said devoured.
Oh,
Devoured.
devour, devour, devoured,
Devoured.
devoured.
Mhm. It's like consume, destroy, swallow, eat.
Devoured.
Devoured.
Okay. Foreign fire is a total of self-love and love of worldly gain, as well as all the cravings that accompany those loves. Besides, ungodly individuals experience heavenly love in no other way than as a burning, consuming fire. For this reason, the word describes the Lord as a consuming fire. The fire on
It's
Mount San
consuming. Consuming.
consuming.
You say consuming.
Consuming.
Con-
You say consuming. It's consuming.
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 Consume.
Consuming.
You.
Consuming.
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 Is it
Consuming.
consuming?
You say like share. You say like consuming. Consuming.
Consume.
Se. Not share, but se. Consuming.
Consuming. Consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Consuming.
Okay.
Consuming.
Consuming.
Yeah. It's better. Yeah.
Okay.
What
Where
is
is it?
consuming fire?
Yeah. The fire on Mount Sinai. That represented the Lord's love or mercy, for instance, was perceived by the people. Mm-hmm.
It is slowly. I mean, you cannot see this page because
No, it's a little.
downloading.
It's a little slowly. I don't know why. Okay. But I can see it right now. As a devouring. What is it again?
Devouring.
Devouring. Okay.
Devouring is the same as consuming. Consuming and devouring like synonyms. Consuming
Oh, okay.
and devouring. It's about like swallow, to eat. For example, we can say my cat devoured the fish.
Okay, I get it.
Devoured, like ate, have eaten, has eaten. My cat has eaten the fish, like devoured. Is devouring the fish. Is consuming the fish.
Okay.
With big, with big hunger. He is devouring with big hunger. Like this.
Devouring. Wait. It's color green, so I can see the page.
Maybe I can reload. 1 second. I will reload. Maybe. Stop sharing my screen. What about now?
It's okay.
See? 1 second. Okay.
Okay, as a devouring fire, which is why they told Moses that Moses not to make them listen to Jehovah's God's voice or look at the huge fire, or they would die. This is what the Lord's love or mercy looks like to people inflamed with self-love and materialism. The things already said about cold and heat establish the symbolism of and summer and winter as the condition of an already regenerate person in respect to new movements of the wheel, which alternate the way summer and winter do. The, the two extremes of people undergoing the process of regeneration are like cold and heat, but for people who have regenerated, they are like summer and winter. The two to the fact that the previous phrase describes a regenerating person, is a regenerate one is that the previous phrase mentions cold first and heat second, while the present phrase mentions summer first and winter second. People who are regenerating start with cold, that is, with no faith or charity. But when they have been reborn, they start with charity. Regenerate people go back and forth between having no charity at one time and some charity at another. This is clear to see because everyone, even a person reborn, has nothing but evil inside. All goodness is the Lord's alone. Since the regenerate have nothing but evil inside, they cannot help seesawing.
What is this? Seesawing.
Seesling.
Seesawing. Seesawing.
Sees. I don't sure. Maybe in dictionary I can see. I can hear pronunciation.
Seesaw.
Seesaw. But this, like seesawing, maybe seesawing, but is the meaning like alternating up and down or backward and forward motion of movement? A pastime in which two children or groups of children ride on opposite ends of a plank balanced in the middle so that one end goes up as the other goes down. Do you understand?
Yes, I saw this in the playground. Seesaw.
Yeah, it's seesawing maybe, but
yeah, it's like a
pronunciation.
no. Yeah.
Mhm.
If it's really it is, I think.
It's like a game. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like a game
like
for
that.
children.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can see it in the playground. I think.
But pronunciation is like
Seesling.
Seesawing.
yeah, like seesawing. Seesawing maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot help seesawing, living.
It was stuck again.
Maybe. What about another people? Can who is here? Can you see well this stream or not? Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know. Is it my troubles or maybe it is your troubles?
Wait, give me a moment. I'll try to disconnect and then I'll go back.
Yeah, maybe can you reconnect here?
Okay, give me a moment.
Seesawing living now in a kind of summer in charity, and now in winter, no charity. These cycles. Mhm.
Are you showing
What
the
about
page?
what about now?
No, it's like you're sharing something.
Mm.
Wait,
You cannot see my stream, yeah, right now.
no, give me a moment. It's
Living now in a kind of summer in charity, and now in winter, no charity.
Are
Cycles.
you? Is anyone want to read so that we can continue? Wow.
Indeed.
Now I see it. Okay. Seesawing living now in a kind of summer, in charity and now in winter. No charity. These cycles exist to bring them into increasing perfection and so into increasing happiness. Regenerate people go through these cycles not only while they are living in the body but also when they come into the other life without alternation that resemble those of summer and winter in matters of the will, and day and night in matters of the intellect. The regenerate would never be perfected or made happier. Their ups and downs in the other world thought are like the summertime and wintertime changes that occur in temperate zones, and like the daytime and nighttime changes that occur in the spring. The prophets too portray these paces in terms of summer and winter, day and night, as in Zechariah. And it will happen on that day that living water will go out from Jerusalem, part of it to the eastern sea and part of it to the western sea. In summer and in winter it will happen. This concerns a new Jerusalem, or the Lord's kingdom in heaven, on earth, and conditions in each which are described as summer and winter in David. God, yours is the day, yours also the night. You prepare the light and the sun. You set up all the boundaries of the earth. You formed summer and winter. These things involve similar meanings. Likewise, in Jeremiah, the fact that neither the compact with the way nor the compact with the night was to be nullified, so that daytime and night would occur at their times. The symbolism of day and night as the condition of this same regenerate person in respect to concepts in the intellect, which alternate the way day and night do, is established by statements just above. Summer and winter have to do with the contents of the wheel because of the warm and cold involved. Since matters of the wheel grow warm or cold, but day and night have to do with the contents of the intellect because of the light and dark involved. Since matters of the intellect exist in light or darkness, because the statements made here as self-evident, they need no confirmation from similar passages in the Word. The the above also shows what the Lord's Word is like in its inner meaning. In its literal sense, it seems so unsophisticated that we necessarily see it as speaking only of sowing and reaping. Code
How to pronounce? I think it's literal. Literal.
Literal.
Literal. Yeah, transcription like literal, but they say like literal,
Literal.
like literal. Mhm. Literal. Mhm.
Cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, when in reality these details involve secrets that were known to the ancient or spiritual church. The actual literal words literal words
Literal.
Lit-
Like this.
literal.
Yeah.
Is it?
Because
Literal.
yeah, it's literal. Yeah.
Literal.
Can you hear?
Literal. Yes.
Literal.
Literal.
Like say literature.
Literature.
Literature. Like literal. Literature.
Literal. Okay.
Literal. Literal words. Yeah.
Okay. Literal words act in just this way, as extremely ordinary containers, so to speak, whose finer details hold heavenly secrets in such great number and of such great importance that not 1 millionth of them could ever be fully explored. When angels look with the Lord's eyes at those.
And maybe in dictionary pronunciation will be like yours. Let's see in dictionary. Maybe in American literal, but literal. You say like literal. Let's see.
Literal.
Literal. Like
Literal.
literal. Maybe you're correct. I don't know.
Literal.
Yes.
Literal.
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 Literal. Okay. Maybe we can say by two ways this word, literal
Yes.
and literal. Okay.
And those common, everyday words drawn from an earthly vocabulary. They can see the whole process of regeneration and also the condition of both a regenerating and a regenerate person in all their boundless variety. Humankind, on the other hand, sees hardly anything.
What is this vocabulary? Vocabulary.
Mhm.
Vocabulary. Vocabulary.
Like dictionary.
Vocabulary.
Terminology.
Dictionary. Vocabulary. Lexicon. Glossary. Vocabulary. Okay.
Literal.
Thank you. Maybe someone wants to continue.
Me.
This. Go ahead.
Can I just talk now?
Yeah. Read from the top. This is the name of this chapter.
The health continued Misers held the full Jerusalem and outlaws in the wilderness, and the faces laden hells of those who have pursued sensual pleasure alone.
I said like outlaws. You said wilderness. It's wilderness, I think.
Okay, well,
Wilderness.
Wilderness, like desert.
okay,
Wilderness.
wilderness.
Mhm.
What is faces laden? Is that the name of
Laden. Faces laden.
Fesses laden.
Faces laden. It's like a lot of shit like this faces laden. Maybe you can see in faces in picture.
Yeah.
Maybe picture you can see
Yeah,
picture.
I know faces.
Maybe yeah. This is
It's a
like
book.
like this.
Okay.
I think it's better. Maybe yeah, better like this.
Yeah, it's
Okay, got it.
a book.
It's funny, but pronunciation like
Fesses laden.
faces laden. It's about hell actually, because there are a lot of such things in hell, like faces laden.
Oh, okay. At first, I think Leiden is a name of someone.
Laden? No, I think laden is from lay, to lay something on the table like
yeah,
this. To lay.
Oh,
For example, your cat can lay a piece of shit into your shoes.
yeah,
For
like
example.
the chicken lay their eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Go on. Of all people, misers.
What?
Keep reading. Next, because all people.
Oh, of all
Can you see?
people, Mr.
What is misers? Misers.
Misers. I don't know. Misers.
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 It's like
Oh, yeah.
greed people. I think greed people. Misers. Like maybe in dictionary you can see explanation. A man grasping person. A miser who inherited a fortune but lives in a shanty. One who is extremely stingy with money. Like greedy for money.
Oh,
Stingy.
okay.
Stingy for money. Maybe it's like Scrooge McDuck, like Walt Disney. Scrooge. Maybe we can see this word in picture. Misers.
Oh,
Like this. Yeah, this is the picture miser. Like you can see he is greedy for money. Like he's rich, but he's miser.
Swedenborg.
Like
Yeah, right.
okay. Misers are the villas and was that the thief?
Think.
Think at least about life after that.
What is vilest?
Vilest. Oh, vilest.
Vilest.
Like evil? Evil?
No, it's like disgusting. Disgusting, filthy, horrible, like disgusting person, like
horrible.
vilest.
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 Mhm.
The vilest and the thing the least about life after that, the soul and the inner being. They do not even know what heaven is. This is because of all people they do the least to elevate their thinking which they completely saturate and drench with bodily and earthly preoccupations. How to say
Preoccupations.
preoccupations?
hmm Like occupy Wall Street.
Preoccupations.
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 It's like any major concern, like
There is
passion, hobby, hobby,
Hobby.
hobby, like this. Preoccupations.
the result is that when they enter the other world, for a long time they fail to realize that they are spirits, meaning firmly convinced instead that um they are still in the body. Their thoughts break down to the bodily and earthly level by their greed turn into dreadful hallucinations. Trying to say but true, in the next life, the grossly avaricious seem to themselves to live in cellars where their money is stored and where they are overrun with rats. Despite the rats, they do not leave until they grow unbearably tired of the situation, at which point they finally blah blah.
What is unbearable? Unbearable. Maybe.
Memorable.
Unbearably. Unbearably.
Unbearably.
Memorably.
It's this word has a root bear, like bear. You can
Yeah.
bear something, but if you cannot bear something, it's unbearable.
Unbearably.
Unbearably. Like you cannot bear it. Unbearably.
Unbearably.
Grow unbearably. Finally, it's finally, yeah, finally. It's about fine.
Finally.
Finally. Not finally, but finally. Finally, like eventually. In conclusion, finally. Finally, emerge.
Emergers. Emerge from those tombs.
These tombs. Tombs.
These
These.
tombs. These tombs.
Of theirs. Tombs
Of
like
Tombs.
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 Tombs like grave. Grave. Where people are buried. Like
Very
dead people. Like.
right. Okay. So can I continue or?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
If you can.
Evidence that the ideas composing the thoughts of sordid misers turn into sordid hallucinations can be seen in their hell, which is deep down under the feet. Out of it wafted a cloud of steam, like the steam from pigs being skinned in a trough. That is where misers' houses are. The people who go there are
I think this word is stem, not steam.
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 Stem.
Steam. You're correct. No, it's steam. You're correct. Steam is like vapor. Mhm. Steam.
Signal.
Steam.
Signal
Steam.
is so bad.
Like the steam from pigs, it's like vapor. Pigs. Steam from pigs. Yeah, like pigs have bad steam, like I can say.
Steam.
But it's like bad smell, bad smelling pigs. What is sordid?
Sordid.
Sordid is disgusting too. Dirty.
Sordid is like, yeah,
Disgusting.
yeah.
Sordid. Okay. Next page.
Dark looking at first, but when they have their hair scraped off, as pigs do, they seem to themselves and to each other to grow lighter in color. But the process still leaves a mark, indicating that this is their nature, no matter what they go. A dark looking spirit who had not yet been shunned into his own hell because he was to stay longer in the world of spirits was sent down to that locale. He was not very miserly.
Может, maybe miserly. Let's see.
Miserly.
Miserly. Yeah, it's about misers. Greedy. Miserly.
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 Miserly. And what is shunted? He had been shunted into his own hell. Shunted.
Shunted.
Shunted. Maybe in dictionary. To turn off to one side. To switch. A railroad car. A train. To provide with a divert by means of an electrical shunt. To divert.
Is it like haunted? Like there's a ghost or no?
Shunted. Shunted. To divert blood or other bodily fluid from one part to another by a surgical shunt. Okay. To move to the side like this. Shunted. He was not very miserly.
But even so, while he lived, he had harbored a malicious envy of others' wealth. When he arrived, the misers there ran away, saying that since he was dark, he was a robber and so would kill them. Misers flee such people in tremendous fear for their lives. Finally, they discovered that he was not that lawless and told him that um, if he wanted to turn lighter, all he had to do was to be stripped of his hair, as was happening to the pigs right there in plain view, and then his color grow lighter, would grow lighter. But he did not want this. He was taken up among the spirits. This hell is where most of the Jews who had been appallingly greedy go. When they come near other spirits, the stench of rats announce their presence. Speaking of Jews, Let me tell how rich.
Appallingly. What is appallingly? Maybe appallingly, yeah?
Oh,
Do you speak Russian?
Yeah. Who?
Appealingly.
oh, appallingly.
Appallingly or but transcription is like appallingly. But
Oh.
she say
Appealingly.
maybe like the
Maybe we
same
can
thing.
check on the
Dictionary.
dictionary. Yes, please.
Appallingly, appealingly.
Appalling.
Appalling. Appalling.
Appallingly.
Actually,
Appalling.
appallingly. It's like inspiring horror. Like, oh, disgust. It's like any disgusting too. Appallingly. Had been appallingly greedy soul. Let me tell how wretched.
Rich.
What is wretched? I forgot. Wretched. I knew this word, but I forgot.
Rich.
How wretched.
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 Poor.
It's like worthless, useless, or
Right.
maybe miserable.
Miserable.
Unlucky. Miserable.
Yeah, miserable like unhappy. Miserable. How miserable, like how wretched.
Their condition is after that. At least the condition of those who had been rapacious and despise others in comparison with themselves, from the inborn arrogance of their belief that they alone were the chosen people. Let me also say something about their cities and about some outlaws in the wilderness. During bodily life, they had dreamed up and proved to their own satisfaction the idea that
What is this? Rapacious, yeah? How to pronounce it?
Rapacious.
Rapacious. It's like greedy, rapacious. But actually, it's like maybe not greedy, but it's about maybe wild animals. Let's see, maybe picture, maybe to understand better. Rapacious, maybe in the sense, like maybe it's about animals. No, it's like it's like this picture, maybe better. Rapacious. He eats money. He eats money, but that man has little plate. But this greedy man, like rapacious. This is too rapacious, and this picture is it's rapacious too. Okay, it's like a greedy person.
how to say bodily.
Bodily is like fleshly.
Bodily.
Bodily.
Bodily like physical.
Okay.
Fleshly maybe. Own satisfaction, the idea that
They were destined to was it arrive in Jerusalem and the Holy Land there and possess it, unwilling to see that the New Jerusalem means the Lord's kingdom in the heavens and on the earth. When they reach the next life, their delusions cast them to see a city that is to the left of Gehenna and a little out in front of it, which they enter in a mob. The city is full of putrid smelling mud, true, and for this reason,
Putrid smelling.
it's smelling.
It's about bad smelling like this. But
Putrid smelling.
putrid.
Putrid smelling.
It's like any bad. It's like from corpse. Bad smelling of corpse. Like this maybe. Putrid smelling and what is maybe arrive or arrive? Arrive, yeah, arrive.
Right.
Arrive.
Yeah, arrive.
Called the full Jerusalem. They run around through the streets, ankle deep in muck and mud, complaining and howling. With their eyes they see cities and streets too. Such things are represented to them as in clear daylight. I myself have seen cities several times. I observed one rather shadowy spirit coming from this full Jerusalem, a kind of Ga.
What is muck?
Muck.
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 It's like mud, filth. Muck. It's like mud. Ankle deep in muck. And mud.
Like
yeah, muck and mud. Dirty thing. But if you will see picture, like be maybe mud too. See picture. Muck. Yeah, I think like this muck, maybe like this. Muck, yeah, it's a movie. Like
dirt.
horrible movie, yeah. Yeah, like dirt, muck. Anything disgusting. The lucky ones are already dead. Okay. Muck. A kind of gate opened.
Gate open. There were some wandering stars around him, especially on his left. Wandering star around a spirit symbolizes falsity in the world of spirits. The case is different with stars that do not wander. He came up and attached himself from above to my left ear, which he seemed to touch with his mouth in order to speak with me. He did not walk in a clearly audible voice, as others do, but inwardly to himself, though still in such a way that I could hear and understand it. He said that he was a Jewish rabbi and he had lived in that muddy city for a long time. The streets you have to go on there, he said, are nothing but muck and mud, and there's nothing to eat but mud. Since you're a spirit, why should you want to eat? I asked. I do eat, he said, and when I want to eat, no one offers me anything but mud, so I complain bitterly. Bitterly. What's to be done then? He went on to ask. I can find Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. I told him a few things about the patriarch. There's no point in
How to pronounce patriarchs? Maybe patriarchs.
Patriarchs.
Patriarchs. Patriarchs is like elders. Elders. Patriarchs.
There's no point in looking for them, I add. if you do find them, they won't be able to help you at all. And I said some others rather hard to grasp things. You should not be looking for anyone but the Lord alone. I went on. Is the Messiah from the
Messiah.
Jews Messiah? Is the Messiah whom the Jews despise during their lives?
Despised.
Oh,
Despised.
despise.
Despised, like
Despised.
hated.
Despised.
Neglect, like loathe, scorned.
Despise during their lives. He rules the whole of heaven and all the earth
Heaven.
without heaven.
It's
He runs the
heaven.
whole of heaven.
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 You said heaven, but it's heaven.
Heaven. He rules the whole of heaven and all the earth without anyone else help. Where is he? The rabbi anxiously asked me several times. You find him everywhere, I said, and he hears and knows everyone. But then some other Jewish spirits drag him away.
May I read?
Are you finished?
Okay, I think that's for now. Maybe others can try to. The others.
May I read too?
Thank you. Thank you for reading.
Thank you
Go
for
ahead.
helping.
Okay. There is another city on the right of Gehenna too, or between Gehenna and the lake, where the better Jews seem to themselves to live, but the city changes for them as their fantasies change. At one point it turns into a collection of small towns, at another into a lake, and at another back into a city. The residents have a fear of robbers, but as long as they are in the city, they are safe. Between the two cities is a kind of triangular. How to pronounce this?
Yeah, into what it means.
Triangular.
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 It's like geometrical stuff. Triangular.
Triangular.
With three angles like this. Maybe. Triangular.
Right.
Yeah, like this is triangular. Like this picture is triangular. It's geometrical like this.
Okay. Between the two cities is a kind of triangular space dark with shadows. That is the home of outlaws, who are Jews but of the worst kind. And when they come across, they torture cruelly. The Jews are so terrified of these outlaws that they call them Lord, and they call the wilderness the outlaws live in the Holy Land. Keep those who enter the city on the right-hand side safe from the bandits. A good spirit stands at one corner of the city limits and welcomes arrivals. When they reach the spirits, they bow down to the ground and enter at the spirits' feet. That is the ritual they go through to get into the city. One spirit came up to me quite suddenly. Where did you come from? I asked. I ran into terror from the thieves because they kill people and chop, roast, and boil them, was the answer. Where can I be safe? What place? What land are you from? I asked. Out of fear, the spirit did not dare to answer more than, "The land is still Lord." As noted, they called the wilderness the Holy Land and the Thieves' Lord. Then some of these outlaws came up and
kill people and chop, like chop. What is this chop?
Chop.
Like cut. Crumble.
Crumble.
they were very dark. They had deep voices like giants' voices, and wherever they make an appearance, they inflict an amazingly palpable fear and horror. I asked who they were. They said they were looking for goods to loot. Where do you expect to pile your loot? I asked. Don't you know that your spirits and can't make off with loot or pile it up? Such are the delusions of the evil. We live in the wilderness.
Loot.
Loot.
It's like plunder. It's about robbery and what is okay. This word palpable, amazingly palpable.
Palpable.
Palpable, like obvious, palpable.
Looking for plunder, the answer, and we torture the people into. While they were with me, they finally admitted that they were spirits, but they still could not be persuaded to believe they're not living in their bodies. The Jews wander around in this way, making talk about indiscriminately murdering, chopping, roasting, and boiling others, even if the victims are
Indiscriminately.
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 Indiscriminately, like it's like without order, like this.
Allegibly.
Illegibly. Indiscriminately. Okay.
Jewish friends of theirs. This has allowed others to recognize their character, despite the fact that they dare not divulge it in the world.
Go on.
Okay.
We read verse by verse, and because this book is about verses, but maybe you can continue if you can.
Not far from the foul Jerusalem sat another city called Gehenna's Judgment. This is the home of people who claim heaven for themselves on the string of their own righteousness and who condemned.
What is divulge? Not
I don't know.
divulge.
Divulge.
Disclose.
Divulge.
Divulge.
Divulge. It's like disclose something. Divulge. Who condemn?
Others for not living out the same fantasies. Between the city and Gehenna appears a kind of bridge, pretty enough, of a dingy grayish color, where there is a dark-looking spirit they fear, who keeps them from crossing. On the other side of the bridge you see appears Gehenna. There are some for whom sensory pleasure.
What is dingy? What is this?
Dingy.
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 It's like dirty and it's like dim, dark, faded. Dingy grayish. It's about color, like.
It's gray.
Grayish.
Grayish, like. Dingy, grayish color, like. Anything without color, like this. Like dim, grayish color, like this, I think. Cool. Sensory pleasure.
Their sole aim during body life, the only thing they love was indulging in luxury and living on. How to read this one?
Delicacies. Delicacies is like delicious.
Delicacies.
Delicacies. It's about food, like delicious food, like expensive food.
Delicacies.
Delicacies.
Delicacies and rich food, they focus entirely on themselves and the material world, consider divine things worthless, and lack faith and charity. After that, they are at first brought into the same kind of life they had in the world. There is a place out in front, to the left and down a little, which offers unending fun. Ga- Games, dancing, feasting, and conversation. This is where they go, and while they're there, they are completely unaware that they are not in the world. But the scene changes. In a little while, they descend into hell below the buttocks. A hell of mere excrement, the kind of pleasure just described, which belongs strictly to the body, turns into excrement in the other life. I have seen people that what is it?
Cartoon.
Card
Cartoon. Like,
done.
Carting.
like carry. Cartoon. Done.
Card.
But what is done?
Dung.
Done. It's like excrement of animals like this. Of cows. Maybe sheeps. Done.
And
And complaining.
complaining bitterly. There are some women who have risen from a sordid and lowly condition to become rich. Vain as a result, they have dedicated themselves to pleasure and to a lazy, pampered life, reclining like queens and on cushions, sitting at table to feast, and caring for nothing. When they come together in the other life, they go at
What is cushions?
I guess it's
Cushions.
Cushions.
institution.
Pillow. Pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Cushions.
Cushions. It's like any
Cushion.
comfortable things to reclining. For reclining, yeah.
Reclining.
Like lying on pillows. Like reclining on cushions. Cushions. Cushions.
No, it's cushion.
Cushions.
Cushion.
Cushions.
Cushions. Reclining on cushions. Pampered. What? Pampered life.
Pampered.
Pampered. It's like about children or pets, maybe. Yeah.
Pampered.
For example, I can say your cat is so pampered, like lazy, lazy cat, maybe. Vain as a result.
Vain.
Vain. Useless like this, maybe. Vain. become rich. And what is sordid? Sordid.
Sordid.
It's disgusting. Sordid and lowly condition. Sordid. Okay, next page.
Other in a shocking fashion, punching, scratching, pulling each other's hair, and turning into furious. This is not the case, however, with women who have been born into the creature comforts and pleasures of life and have been brought up to these advantages since infancy. Queens, for instance, another nobility, the rich.
Rich too. Punching. What is this? Shocking façon. It's like punks maybe. Yeah, punks. Punching.
Punching.
Punching. Punch.
Punch.
Punch. I don't know what it means in this sense. Shocking, fashion, punching, scratching, pulling each other. It's like maybe beating. Okay, next page. Although
They live a life of sensual gratification, luxury, and grandeur, as long as they also live on a faith in the Lord and charity toward their neighbor, they're among the happy in the next life. To forswear life's pleasures, power, and wealth in order to earn heaven through one's suffering is wrong. What is meant in the word is to think of pleasures, power, and wealth as nothing compared to the
forswear. What is this?
Forswear.
Forswear. In this sense, maybe renounce, maybe disclaim. Forswear's life. Yeah, it's like in this sense, like disclaim, maybe disclaim.
Disclaim.
Like refuse to forswear's life's pleasures. And grande, luxury and grande. What is this?
Grandeur.
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 It's like nobility, majesty. It's about queen or king, maybe, and grandeur. Luxury, because queens and kings live in luxury and grandeur, like this. Wealth as nothing compared to the Lord.
Lord, and the life of the world as nothing compared to the life of heaven. I talk with some spirits about the prospect that few will believe all these things can happen in the other world. People have no conception of life after death except for a vague, general notion which is no.
Vague, maybe vague, vague,
Yes,
vague.
Vague.
yes.
Vague, like foggy, uncertain. Vague.
Is no conception at all, and they harden themselves in this notion by the fact that they cannot see a soul or a spirit with their eyes. Furthermore, although scholars affirm that the soul or spirit exists, they get bogged down in inventing technical terms that dim no, extinguish any understanding of the subject. Because of this, and because they focus on themselves and worldly advantages, and rarely on the common.
What is this? Get bogged. Bogged.
Bogged.
Bogged. Bogged like bogged. Maybe it's about mad. Maybe web search. You can see bogged. Bogged. Yeah, it's about car. This car is bogged like this. Bogged. Bogged. They get bogged down.
The common good or heaven, scholars have even less belief than sense-oriented people do. The spirits I was talking to were amazed that humankind could be this way despite knowing that nature itself, and each of its kingdom, provides so many varied wonders of which people are unaware. Take just the human inner ear, for example. A whole book could be filled with astounding and unheard of facts about it, and every
Astounding, like maybe any amazing. Yeah. What is this? Astounding.
Astounding.
Like yeah, it's like amaze, magnificent, astounding. Anything stunning, astounding, and unheard of facts about it, and
everyone trusts those facts, but say anything about the spiritual world, which gives rise to each and every detail of nature, and hardly anyone believes it. The reason, as noted, is people's confirmed prejudice. Is it?
it's like legal term, I think.
Prejudice.
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 Prejudice. Like, yeah, it's like a legal term too. Like,
Collateral estoppel. Prejudice.
Prejudice, like harm, damage, and call into question, like this. Prejudice.
Prejudice that spiritual world is nothing because they do not see it.
Thank you. What is this? What is this? Index to Secrets of Heaven. Maybe it's the end of this. I don't know what is this.
Maybe that's the end of the volume 1.
Index of Secrets of Heaven, Volume 1. This Index to Secrets of Heaven is a compilation by Alicia Dole based on the first volume, the Lisa Hyde Cooper translation. It's like maybe explanation of translator.
But I think that's compilation.
What is this? Maybe what it will be after it. Maybe this book is finished, but it's like it's not like finished. I don't sure. It's like explanation.
Can you check how many pages? Or we still need to wait for that?
It's like it's about translation, like explanation of translation, reference numbers, because translators did big and great work by translating these books because it's a modern English language, and translators explain how they did it because it was translated from Latin in modern English language, and yeah, it's explanation of words. Okay, maybe this book is finished. Yeah, let's see what is next. Yeah, because there are a lot of explanation because it's very big and rich work. I mean, it's Swedenborg Foundation because it's very rich translation like this. We see a lot of explanations.
We last on Genesis 8, right?
Yeah, and I think it's this is the end of volume 1.
Volume 1, yeah, because there is a volume 2.
Yeah, and after it, I'm going to read volume 2, but I don't sure if it is finished. But what will be next? Because it's like
Yes,
a lot of
yes.
like index of contents.
I think that's
Maybe.
like the meaning of the the words used on this volume.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or
Wow.
where it
It's a
came
lot.
from. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot. Maybe we can do this. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
the end of this volume.
yes. And it's alphabetic. I think that's why
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, and Secrets of Heaven, volume 2. Where is it?
Volume 2 is it
Yeah.
also part of Genesis, right?
Let's see. Genesis 9. Yeah.
It's Genesis
Mm,
9. Yeah.
Genesis 9. Yeah. Secrets of Heaven, Genesis 9. Okay. We
Just
we
the
can
two of us.
start.
Just the three of us. Maybe we can start this by tomorrow? Or what do you think? Do you want to still read? Do you
Yeah,
still have
I think we can start this book tomorrow. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah, because it's like next volume. It's like a big.
When did you start reading Swedenborg books?
Why did I start to read?
No, when did you start? Because we already I already finished with you the charity book, and then this one, and then yeah.
Are you asking when did I start?
Yes,
When?
yes.
Yeah.
And
When
what
did I
book?
start to read?
Yes, and what book of Swedenborg you first read?
Before Secrets of Heaven, maybe I started to read books of Swedenborg maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
And
Maybe
what
3
was the
months.
first book you read? May I know?
Maybe I have read here. Yeah, when I started read his books, maybe I have read 4 or 5 books of Swedenborg. I can show you. I can show you my bookshelf. Do you see? Have read if I will.
Okay,
I have read. Yeah, I have read Heaven and Hell. You can see this book.
Yeah, I think
have read.
I already read the Heaven and Hell. Just a few slides with you. Okay.
Did we read Heaven and Hell together? I don't remember.
I don't.
No, because I didn't hear. I didn't hear it.
Reading before Charity, because I finished the whole book of Charity with you. The book. Charity. Before the Charity.
Yeah, before Charity, I read Love and Marriage. Do you see this book, Love and Marriage?
Yeah, the marriage. I think that was the first book I read with you.
I can say I have read the Lord. Do you see Sacred Scripture, White Horse? I have read the Lord and Last Judgment, and I have read Love and Marriage and Charity and New Jerusalem and Other Planets, and it's like the same book. Yeah, maybe six books, 6 or 7 books. But these books are little. Like the Lord is little, and White Horse is little book. But very big book is like Love and Marriage. It's a very big book, and New Jerusalem is little book. Charity is little book because we have read Charity. Yeah, one day. It's a little. and One Horse is little book. The Lord is little, but maybe like 7 books I have read.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm going to read these books like volume 2.
Volume 2.
Second. Where is this? Reading now. Yeah, it's reading now. Secrets of Heaven, volume 2. And Apocalypse. Yeah, and this book is very interesting book, Apocalypse Explained. Like 2 books, 2 books, and I will finish reading books of Swedenborg because I don't have EPUB versions of his books. Because Swedenborg Foundation published only these EPUB versions of books, and I downloaded from Swedenborg Foundation's website. Maybe they didn't do translations in EPUB format because I can read in PDF format, but it's PDF format, but PDF format is not good to read, but actually.
But after the volume 2, what was the next one? Is it still under Swedenborg?
Apocalypse. Do you see Apocalypse Revealed? This book.
Okay.
It's interesting book about the book of Revelation. It's the last last book of the Bible. It's about Apocalypse. This book.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah, it's about last. Maybe are you familiar with Bible? Not. I'm not sure. But I know there are a lot of Christians in your area, in your country. Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
But yeah, I was reading on my own like language. That's why it's a little difficult. But because of the words, I can still understand it. So yeah.
Apocalypse Revealed is about spiritual meaning of the book of Revelation.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's very interesting because I will finish the reading of books of Swedenborg by this book, Apocalypse Revealed. And after it, I'm going to read this book because it's my favorite. Is one of my favorite books. It's The Last Temptation of Christ. Do you see? It's Nikos Kazantzakis. It's very interesting book, and author is a genius too. Because maybe have you heard about Martin Scorsese? Martin Scorsese is the greatest director in the world, like American director, and he made a movie on this book, The Last Temptation of Christ. I mean, this book is like a novel, but I saw the movie on this book, The Last Temptation of Christ, and it's my favorite movie.
There's a movie of it? The Last Temptation of God.
The Last Temptation of Christ. If you will type in Google The Last Temptation of Christ film, you can see. It's a film. Yeah, it's like
country. It was. Do you know where country is it from?
He's from Greece. Greece, like Greece. Greek.
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe I could check on that.
But film is American director Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese is the greatest director in the world.
Okay, so you're saying the author is from Greece or Greek something? Is it?
Novel. Okay. Yeah, Novel is Nikos Kazantzakis. He's from Greece. But when Martin Scorsese is a very famous director in the world, in US. And when
Okay.
he had read this novel, he was shocked and amazed, and he decided to make the movie based on this novel. And
Okay.
this movie is very amazed to like this.
Okay.
Maybe maybe you can see this movie before reading of this novel, but I don't sure this movie is in English, but I don't
Have
sure.
you watched it? I
Mm,
mean, have you
yeah,
already
I
watched
watched
it?
this movie. Yeah, I watched this movie, and it's one of my favorites movie.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
That
Do you
because
want
I
me
want
to
to read
go
this.
first before I read that, or I must read this before I watch the movie? So, what do you think?
Uh, I think because I watched this movie, and this movie is like maybe 2 hours long, but maybe maybe because this novel is maybe I don't sure, but Martin Scorsese read this novel before making that movie. But in my experience, the first I watched film, and after it I read this novel. But I want to read this novel again because it's this novel has very deeper inner meaning inside it, and we should understand it better, because I want to read this novel again to better understand it, because it's like
So you
this
already
novel is
read
like,
this?
yeah, I read it one time, but maybe
You want to read
it
it
wasn't so,
again?
yeah, it wasn't so understandable. Actually,
Mhm.
this novel is about this novel is not based on the Bible, but it's about spiritual meaning of the Bible, and it's about
Mhm.
spiritual meaning of feet of Jesus Christ, like this. Maybe it's like instruction. What should we do? That because I want to understand better the meaning of this novel. Maybe
Okay.
you the first the first you can watch this movie, and maybe you can say your opinion about that movie,
Okay.
and maybe maybe
think
you
that's a good
didn't
idea.
want to read this novel because
Okay.
um, mhm. Actually a lot of Christians were very angry at Martin Scorsese because
Really?
because it's like a stumbling block, because Nikos Kazantzakis wrote about spiritual meaning
Mhm.
of Jesus Christ and Bible, but they a lot of Christians understood this movie in literal sense, that because they weren't agree with his point of view. But actually, this movie is about spiritual warfare, like spiritual battle between flesh and spirit, and actually about this. Maybe it's more difficult to read concerning books of Emanuel Swedenborg, because there are a lot of new words for me.
Mhm. There's a lot
That
of
because
new words I got from this book.
yeah, for
The
example, I
volume
can
one.
this book. The Last Temptation of Christ, for example, we can see a little bit. For example, 1 second, where was the region? Maybe. Okay, from this, for example, the red beard was vexed. What is
Vex.
vexed? This is
Yes.
it's like vexed, like vexed. It's like
Is it vexed or vex?
Vexed.
Oh,
vexed.
vexed. Annoyed.
Vexed, like maybe
Painful.
annoyed.
Symptoms.
Vexed. The red beard was vexed and did not speak. He opened the door. Well, can you read and can you? Mhm. Can you read a little bit and tell your opinion? Is it difficult? Is it more difficult to read?
I think the book is a little tricky. Especially this one. A new swarm of what is it? Tumultuous.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
don't know. I have no idea. That's a new for me. That's tumultuous.
Tumultuous, like chaotic, stormy.
Fellow organisms.
Hello. What did you say? Sorry. We are watching this book and try to understand. Is it more difficult to read concerning books of Swedenborg or not? Because it's like this book uses a different lexicon like this.
This,
for example,
it's a little tricky right now.
Can you try to read and tell your opinion? Maybe can you read 2 pages, maybe 2 or 3 pages, and tell your opinion? Is it more difficult to read for you and to understand than books of Swedenborg? Okay, can you try?
Well, I'm just seeing it, and I feel like it's a little hard because the book of Swedenborg is a little more understanding. Remember, he explained it like in the simplest way he could, but this one is like a deeper, I don't know, deeper English meaning or something like that. So
yeah, for example,
all
a new swarm of
it says all the dregs. I don't know what dregs is of Nazareth. There's a lot of new word for me actually.
Yeah.
Is that a Bible?
Dregs.
No, it's the book of the Last Temptation of Christ by Nikos Kazantzakis. This is this book, Nikos Kazantzakis, The Last Temptation of Christ, and Martin Scorsese made a movie on this novel. And it's very famous director in the world, and maybe it's difficult to read. I don't sure because there are a lot of new words for me.
Yes, sorry.
Disheveled hair with, for example, the red beard was waxed and did not speak. He opened the door and used more of tumultuous villagers. Beard. At the end of the street, old ladies. Old ladies with disheveled hair. What does it mean, disheveled hair?
Disheveled. I think it's disheveled.
Disheveled.
We can check.
Disheveled.
It's like it's about hairstyle. Like if you don't hair, if you
because that's why this disheveled hair.
Disgusting hairstyle. Yeah, disgusting hairstyle like this. Sickly old man, sickly like sick. Yeah, sickly old man, the lame, the blind,
leprous. What was this?
Leprous, like is sick. It's like disease.
Is it disease? Like leprosy?
Leper.
Oh yeah.
It's the disease. They too were mounting. What does it mean? We are mounting. It's about mountain. Yeah, about mountain. What is this?
Mounting.
Mounting.
Mount.
I don't understand the meaning. They too were mounting. Because this book uses very figurative language, and I mean
I do.
this writer is a genius too, in my understanding, because it's like, and
That's why
Martin
it's a little
Scorsese.
tricky.
Mm-hmm. They too were mounting, like to go on the mountain like this, but it's not about mountain. Like they too mountain short of breath. They too were crawling toward the hill of crucifixion. The appointed hour drew near. It's time
For me to live. Enjoying the
and
people.
join the revered reflected time for us to rush forward all together and snatch away the zealot. Then it will become clear whether or not he's the savior, but he hesitated. What is it?
Hesitated.
Doubtful, like
Doubt. Think.
doubt.
Suddenly a cool breeze passed over him. No, he thought. This man who is to be crucified today will not be the one the Hebrew race has awaited for so many centuries. Tomorrow. Mhm. How many years, God of Abraham, have you kept ponding?
Ferocious.
Mhm.
Pounding is like
Pond.
beating or knocking.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, beating,
Pounding.
beating, like pounding us
Your
with
heart is
this.
still pounding.
This tomorrow. All right, when we are human, we are astute enough. He had become ferocious.
You know what's ferocious means?
Ferocious. He had become like furious, maybe.
Ferocious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
ferocious,
fierce, violent,
Yeah.
brutal.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, ferocious.
Ferocious.
Throwing. Maybe if you want to understand this book, we should be like a native speakers, but
Yeah.
that because this book is it is for native speakers.
Yes,
Like, I think.
because there's a lot of new word for me. I'm sorry. Maybe we cannot finish so many verses if. Oh my god, I don't know, but it's interesting because we can know other words and meaning of it, right? Like so yeah, it's interesting.
In my understanding, this book is like the next level to read because the books of Swedenborg is easy to read because words are repeating there, and it's like one lexicon. It's more easy, but this book is like the next level because there are a lot of new words because the writer is like very. This writer is like very genius too, like this. Like maybe we will be able to understand the meaning of this book. Maybe it's the first, but maybe we can understand the lexicon of this writer, and maybe we can understand better. Maybe after several chapters of this book, maybe we can understand the lexicon of this. Because when I started reading the book of Swedenborg, I was reading very slowly because of lexicon. But when I understood the lexicon of books of Swedenborg, I could be able to read more faster.
Okay. Maybe I can do that in this book.
Yeah, and okay, I think
That's
Okay,
it for
to go.
today. Yes. Okay, see you
Yeah.
tomorrow. Our next
Mhm.
book. For our next book.
Yeah, next value. Yeah.
Next volume, yes.
Goodbye.
Okay.
See you.
Bye. Bye.